Hello and welcome, Aseprite Art Stream. It's a nice June 19th, 2024. It's a nice sunny afternoon. It's Juneteenth for those who celebrate, and I do indeed celebrate it. Welcome to Aseprite Art Stream. Welcome. I'm going to be going pretty quick into a fairly, I'd say, fast pixel art stream. Kind of just going through just the basic tutorial on learning pixel art, navigating Aseprite, and getting yourself to get started just working on a simple palette. So, welcome to everyone. I'm probably not going to be able to acknowledge everyone at the moment because I just want to get through these ASAP. One thing that I'd like to kind of just go through basically is getting yourself started. The program I currently use is a program called Aseprite. Aseprite is a pixel art program where you're able to make pixel art basically. And the reason I choose Aseprite for pixel art as opposed to working in Photoshop or something else like ProMotion, Pro Studios, it gives you a lot of stuff straight off the bat. It already has 1 pixel brushes. It only has various different tools for selections. Don't have to worry about aliasing just straight off the bat because it's pixel art. Doesn't have to worry about it. So that's pretty nice with that. So I totally recommend Aseprite. I'll drop a link in the chat here. It's a link to its website, and it's roughly I'd say $10, $15 tool. How much is it? Let's look here. Yeah, $19.99. It's a $20 tool. I will say that I'm sorry about not being completely thorough with most of the information, but if I'm going too fast or I'm having you're having trouble following along, feel free to drop me a comment and I'll see if I can't slow down or something real fast. I will likely repeat it once, but that is what it is with that. So once you purchase your Aseprite, and I should also talk about any free options to Aseprite. So there are free options like Gale. That's a free version of a pixel art program where you can basically just do a lot of just notable pixel art stuff with that. And I'd say a lot of old school pixel artists also do pixel art with Gale, I'd say. So I'll share that as well. It's a freeware program, but I think it has a pay what you want option, if I know right. I think it's Gale 2 that has the pay. Oh, it's all free. Yep. But yeah, Gale is also a nice freeware pixel art program. So, if you want to follow along, a lot of principles of just doing pixel art still apply. So a lot of the pixel program stuff still applies. So you'll be able to follow along because, this is a basic thing. Most pixel art programs, they have a single brush. They have a good eraser. They can change size. Change its size to other different size erasers with that. You can just fiddle around with other little stuff with that. But, yeah. Anywho, next we will talk a little bit about just the UI of Aseprite. And a lot of just getting started in Aseprite. is basically just, you will likely going to start in a menu like this, where you will, you'll be navigating some stuff. You can click on new file, and you'll be able to open up, you'll be able to select your palette size here, or your sprite size. A good recommended sprite size is to try to make a canvas of 8 to the power of 8. So something that's either, go back. Something that's either a 16 by 16 canvas or a 32 by 32 canvas. And one cool thing about Aseprite is you can do pluses to add pixels and minuses to subtract pixels. You can just, click off that to work it. Negative. Divide by 8. That'll go in half. Let's see. 32 by 32 is a solid sprite size. And the reason I usually recommend starting at 32 by 32 sprites is that's in a power of 8. A lot of programs are in programs in power of 8s, and usually it's going to be easier to scale with the different programs and stuff like that. So if you know about, the bit wars and stuff like that, you'll be think about things like 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, that sort of thing. It's in that rough ballpark where you're messing about with just even numbers. You don't want to do sprites in odd numbers because it's going to hurt you in the long run. It'll be tough to export into game engines. It'll be tough to export as a picture. So that generally just messes you up just right off the bat. So usually it's a good idea to do a 32 by 32 size as a starter. You could go 64 by 64 as well. The larger you set up your canvas size, the larger your pixel art's going to be and the more detail that you're able to do, which can be a blessing and a curse. You could end up working on a sprite that's way too large for you, or you'll end up spending a lot of time on a bigger sprite. And they'll probably go over sprite size at a later date, and kind of just tackle that as you go. So another thing that I'll also recommend is if you're ever looking for information that you want to freaking tablet turn. Oh no. No. You touch a wire and everything just goes to shit. 1 second. Alright, can you see OBS? Alright, everything's fine. Great. So, where was I? Yes. So, if you ever find yourself lost and want more information on making pixel art, there's plenty of great pixel art tutorials that I'll recommend that I learned to make sprites. I've looked at sprite tutorials like 2D Wil Never Die. It's a great website where you can just go through tutorials. As an art, it's probably the place where I would recommend if you're a regular artist and you've never done pixel art before, and all you have is your general drawing knowledge. This is probably just the best part to go to. One part that I could probably recommend is, which one is it? Convert my sprite to probably the where's the wrestler one? There you are, El Zamba. And this one's a pretty solid way to kind of just start working on sprites. You're able to start a drawing, and you're able to now just refine it, get that drawing just nice and refined. and you're able to, do some general, just actual drawing stuff. And then you'll be able to scale it down or reduce it down to a smaller size. And you'll teach yourself to clean up the pixels, color the pixels. And, it's a nice start to get yourself just generally start with pixel art. And I could probably just do that. I don't normally do it because I guess it takes longer than me actually like drawing on pixel canvas than the whole draw it initially, then shrink it down. I guess I've figured out a method that's faster, but overall. But if you've never ever done pixel art before, I could recommend the 2D Never Dies tutorial here, the making of El Zamba. That's a pretty nice spot to go to. Another place that I can recommend is Pixel Logic by Michael Azizi. That is a nice. It's a PDF book. It's a paid PDF book where you can basically just learn a lot of pixel art techniques right from a PDF. It's a nice large PDF. Get from Gumroad for, I believe it's also $10, and it's a really nice source of. I went to this when I started on a game jam, and when I was doing a game jam, I impulse purchased this book, and it's pretty nice with that, and I could probably fly through my own PDF right here. I just show you. Yeah, there you are. I just show you a basic. It's a nice collection of just basic pixel art tutorial stuff, and pretty nice with that. Goes through practically everything that I'll go through, except you can talk to me stuff. Pixel Logic, it's easy, that kind of stuff, and yeah, it goes through a lot of just cool stuff with here. See if I can. 2 pages. No. Yeah, but yeah, you can fly through this fast. Pretty cool, pretty easy. And it kind of just goes through just the history of pixel art, canvas sizes, all that stuff. Goes through line art and all kind of just tackle line art with this, and coloring it, anti-aliasing, even all the way down to choosing palettes, deciding details, dithering, special situations like making an isometric view or different perspectives, clean up, selection, tightening up, animation. This is a nice book for that, so I totally recommend Pixel Logic. That's my source of stuff. Another place that I can recommend is Miniboss's page on pixel art tutorials, where you've probably seen these pictures. Probably if you're all over online, you might have seen art stuff on Pinterest or Twitter, stuff like that. You've probably seen something like this, where it'll kind of just go through the basic, ideas about animation or preparing your pixel art, like that. So, Miniboss is a pretty good spot for that. So I will 100% recommend this for, getting yourself started. These are my sources for learning. So, drop a link to that on itch.io/Miniboss. Or no, it's not. It's nothing. It's just itch.io. It's Studio Miniboss. I believe they're the Celeste people, actually. Let's see. Why do I think they're the Celeste people? I am just insane. But yeah, I mean, generally this is a nice spot to just do, learning pixel art stuff. That's pretty much just a nice spot with that. And of course, there's YouTube and stuff like that. Go on YouTube and search up YouTubers like AdamCYounis. He's really good for just an actual source on pixel art stuff. So hit up AdamCYounis' channel. He's really good with just so many pixel art tutorials with that. Got plenty of videos to kind of just go through the basics of all that stuff. Character design, animation, all that stuff. Even like setting up for games. All that stuff. So I totally recommend him if you're lost and some more further reading from me. But I will at least do a bit to get you started on actually working on stuff. So, shall we get started? Kind of just working at stuff. One moment. But yeah, if you have any questions so far, feel free to let me know. I am happy to help, and hopefully there'll be some, ways that I can just elaborate on some stuff. So, let's see if we can't just get ourselves started with kind of just fiddling around with this. So, I've kind of just set up a little thing where I'll just go through just the basic UI stuff. So, as I've mentioned before, you can make a new layer by clicking New at the Aseprite. So that's the top left corner. That'd be New. And you can select your sprite size for 32 by 32. And you can even multiply it by 2 if you want. Rocks out. So that's pretty nice with that. But I personally recommend 32 by 32 because it's more manageable for me personally. Color mode, I usually choose RGA. That's a general digital image editing format. You're just working with all the colors you got on a computer. Grayscale, you're basically working black and white colors. I don't recommend it if you're not going to work in black grayscale, which is funny because I usually will work in monochrome, but I want to use color monochrome. So that's why I kind of Index is interesting because Index sets up a specific color lookup table on files, and it's tough to explain because the nature of indexing is it's good for saving color palettes. You never have to worry about losing color palette or losing image compression and stuff like that because the colors are just in that data already, if I remember how indexing works. I usually don't use index because it's a bit stifling to me personally. That is more restrictive than I want, so I usually just stick with RGBA. Background stuff, you have the choice of using transparent background or a white background or a black background. Personally, I recommend transparent so you have the freedom to change the color, and that's kind of just how that goes. Pixel aspect ratio, usually I just keep it on square pixels because other pixels are more for CRT modders, honestly. Like, I believe double high pixels for modders that have like will look thinner and stuff like that. And that's good for maybe like an actual CRT or like you're actually taking it out to I believe like it's a scan line thing. So yeah, that's CRT. But overall I just choose square pixels because it's overall easier in general. After you choose your canvas, and even though it says sprite, it really means canvas because you're just going to put the sprites in the canvas. That's kind of just how you do it. So you press OK, says right, you have a fresh new canvas right here. Nice and fancy pants, we're all happy. That's it. But yes, have a whole new canvas here, and you're kind of just messing about. So, little bits of other stuff with here. You'll have a nice general UI here. You'll have a color palette list on the right, and it has a few different like default palettes. I've set up for a personal customized default palette, but usually it's going to you will usually have a preset palette, so maybe something like probably like something like this. It'll probably be like something like this, or I think if I remember, hmm, which one? Like the actual default. I probably should have used a completely fresh copy to kind of just get you through it. But basically, if you select this paper button, you have a lot of palettes just right off the bat to choose from. So, this is really nice. It's got a typical Commodore 64 stuff from just very different software. Um, got a default Game Boy, got a Google UI stuff, an NES, NTSC. So that's the American United States NES. So if you have a PAL region NES or a Japanese, Famicom, this may or may not be the palette. So if you're, nostalgic for that, you can use that. And I think it defaults to the NES palette if you're opening a sprite from the box, but I don't know 100%. And you can do things, select the arrow to sort it. You can select it to gradient by hue, select it to grade by saturation, select it gradient by luminance, sort by reds, sort by greens, blues, stuff. Plus, I believe you can. Which one just lets you get around? Was it option to kind of just move it around, or maybe I'm kind of just going insane? Like it's sort of there was like a way to or nudge them around. Maybe I'm insane like that. But yeah, you can do that. Usually I would just gradient. I think personally I would probably just gradient by value because values and lighting is going to matter immeasurably. So I kind of just recommend you work on value. So you'll select colors as you wish, and you'll be. Actually, why is white not like the actual bottom? That's strange. Well. But yeah, you'll be working at different colors and values, and I also have a color wheel here. I set up the settings so it's always on discrete. On default, it should be more a gradient like this, but usually I have it as a discrete system because I feel like it's more in the spirit of selecting palettes if there are actual clear delineations. I don't know if you can actually decide which palettes are which, or even like which how dark or light they'll go. Like it can go really light, but it won't like go all the way to black. I don't think that's kind of interesting with that. But yeah, it's got the typical like digital painting and digital art stuff. Got you could set up your color looks up your color triad. So you can select yellow and automatically select three colors around it. You can select between complementary colors. So anytime you select a red, it'll always select a blue. Or anytime you select a yellow, select the blue. Indigo, select like whatever color you find. You'll find the opposite color. Monochromatic, where it will select something within the same value, or it's in the same value. But monochromatic will do that, and typical stuff with that. Analogous, I usually pick analogous. That's how that goes. Well, actually, no, I use split comp because you'll have one key color, and then you'll have you'll have two split colors, kind of just in closer with their family. I do that, and it's pretty nice with that. Work off of that. If you want, you can save a palette by expanding the line here. You can just add more palettes here. I believe you can right click. No? Let's see. Okay, so you can click this drop down menu, and you can add that color to the. That's not it. Maybe I'm just insane. Oh, so you'll select this, and you'll add that foreground color to the palette. We'll select this red exclamation point here because it's not a default palette. Right here. Then you can push it away to get rid of it out of the sprite system, or go back to it's about. So that's pretty nice. That's pretty cool with that. And we're kind of just going through just the general palettes. So in terms of what kind of palette I would recommend, well, you can either go look up a palette list on lowspec.com. Lowspec's a really nice other pixel art spot for finding pixel art things. It's a nice place to find its nice new palettes, and you can work with like 3 color palettes, 16, 24 color palettes, 8 color palettes. A giant variety of palettes that you can choose from Low Spec. So Low Spec's a nice place if you can't decide what colors you use. But personally, I tend to use I got started working with a monochrome Game Boy palette. So let me just load up a palette right here. So I used a 2-bit grayscale here of just 4 colors, and basically it's black, gray, light gray, and white, and those are a nice just set of colors for me. It's closest to me to ink and pen. So you have the white of the paper and the black of the ink, and you'll probably have like a wash of marker and maybe like a lighter pencil to kind of just make the gradients look good. But that's pretty nice with that, and that's a palette list that I personally recommend. Make things easier, get yourself into it before you actually dive into larger sprite stuff. So that's my personal recommended that's my personal recommended palette. But you can do other palettes if you dig into Low Spec. You can find other monochrome palettes in different colors. And if you need a bit more color splash, kind of just work off of a blue, monochrome blue, or you can work on another add more palettes with that. You can also there's also a you can also select your folder, so you can add more colors to the palette. So if you do stuff like this, where you'll take colors from one palette, then you take colors from a different palette. Oh, it did. Hop in. Take colors from a different palette. And if it's just in the sprite, you can select this. You can select the 3-line drop-down folder and select load palette from sprite, so new palette from sprite, and it will select all the colors in the current thing. You can have it replace it. You can have a new palette, do that stuff, and it will just select every color that's in the sprite currently. It'll turn it into a color table for your, so you don't have to feed a massive. You don't have to get lost working off bad colors here. But for all intents and purposes, we're working monochrome. So racing you at the eraser tool. So yeah, everything should be pretty fine here, right? Everyone's good. Everyone's happy and able to keep up with, just the general gist of work with palettes and Aseprite at the moment. I probably haven't elaborated on the actual UI of this, but I'm kind of just getting you into proper principles that's going to be helpful later. It's hot in here, but I'm trying not to let my drink spill out in terms of stuff like that. So, I'd say the bread and butter of most pixel art, I'd say, is the pencil tool. And I set my pencil tool shortcut to E, and I don't remember the default pencil tool because all my shortcuts are set on the left side of the keyboard. Like everything is set on the left side of the keyboard, which I absolutely recommend. Is you try to get all your get as many of your common shortcuts on the left side of your keyboard. So you put a Control S in save. You put a Control X and Y, the typical like copy, cut, and paste. And then you'll have like Shift Q for zooming out. And then you have like Shift Q for making new layers, that kind of stuff. Yep. Not doing that. But yeah, you all have a whole bunch of your shortcuts kind of just in one spot. So what I usually do is I have a lasso tool on Q, my magic wand on W, my general pencil brush on E, my fill brush on S, and my color swapping brush on A for fast work. And if I'm ever doing new animations, I will have the Z and F to cycle through frames. D for going going backwards through frames, F for going forward, and so that's kind of just how I have my stuff set up with that. Plus, there's a whole bunch that I either forgot to bind or it's not working with that. But yes, the I usually and most pixel artists will start with a pencil tool. And the pencil tool is a nice, straightforward, you're drawing on one pixel by pixel thing. And you can set up to be pixel perfect. So It doesn't do things like make jagged curves like this. And you can even have the pixel perfect setup checked, so it'll always be not making jaggies. Otherwise, you'll have, you know, jaggies like this. You'll do a curve and it'll sometimes like get pixels like that. And it's honestly a smoother drawing experience if you turn it off. This would probably be having a pixel perfect check would be like having the equivalent of smoothing in other programs like Clip or uh, you know, like Clip Studio Paint because Photoshop fucking sucks and you should pirate it all the time. But yeah, the pencil tool is pretty solid with that. You're able to just do some basic drawing, and with that, you're able to just do your basic drawing. If you ever drawn on a tablet, you're basically just home for that. And it can be a lot to get used to just working on such a small size tablet or a small size drawing. If you're a general like normal artist like I started out, it can be tough to get yourself used to working so small, and I totally get that. But after taking some time and a little bit of my experience as a cartoonist where you're able to learn how to simplify artwork, you're able to work with simple shapes, simple faces, simple line shapes, lines, and all that stuff. And you're able to kind of just work off of all your cool stuff to make a nice basic character. And as you work with the palette, you will get more experience with pixel art to the point where you will know where you can simplify or what you can do to translate a tough drawing into something small. And I will say the more complicated you make your pixel art, the longer it's going to take. If you have a lot of high details, it's going to be difficult to depict with pixel art. If you have something like a nose, it's going to be difficult to depict with that. Probably need to do some adjustments to make it more distinct. Have a freaking dollar store link. Can't wait for that freaking legit Zelda game coming out. That's actually starring Zelda. That's pretty cool. And that's gonna go with that. Have a nice basic link. He has he's like 16-bit link, and then you can do some shading. So you can make it work. It just, as takes a lot of practice. And a lot of this is basic drawing. If you draw in sticky notes, you can pixel art, and you'll never have to worry about something that's difficult when it comes to things like that. I'd say pixel art would appeal to people who do cartooning. And I personally think that if you know how to cartoon, you can easily jump into pixel art, no problem, working off simpler styles and stuff like I feel like Charles Schultz, Peanuts guy. I don't need to tell you that. I feel like Charles Schultz could grasp pixel art if he was still alive and kind of just experiment on a billion things. I know Chuck Jones could totally do it. He was pretty experimental even back when he retired because he was doing some flash animations before, so that was kind of cool. But work off of that, kind of just see what's here. And of course, you can use your eyedropper tool. I believe I have it set to alt like every other drawing program. And you can rebind the keys in your settings. So it'd be actually no, it'd be edit preferences. Actually no, it'd be edit in keyboard shortcuts. You can do that, and you can basically just rebind all your keys right here, no problem. And you can adjust your modifiers, all your shifts, your controls, and all that stuff right here. And it's really convenient with that. And I'd say if you're a digital artist, you probably would know that you would need to do that. But for anyone who still doesn't know, I totally recommend doing that. I'd say just go through it, look through stuff that you use, and see if you can work off of that. So, yeah, work off of this. That's pretty nice. You have a nice basic link sprite, and you can do things like use your paint bucket tool, and that fast fills everything. Pretty nice with that. If you check and uncheck it, you can select entire instances of color, and it'll just recolor that. But remember that if you recolor it, you try coloring it again, it just colors more instances of that color. So remember that. Control Z to undo, or go edit, undo. That always works, but most people should know Control Z. That is basic workflow 101, is Control Z is your god. Work off that. Have a bunch of different fills and just fiddle around with different stuff. Let's see. I've just gone through basic drawing. And, basic drawing is, there's only so much I personally can teach you about drawing, really. Like, at the end of the day, I can get through drawing only so much, because this is a you thing. Like, if you don't know how to draw, you can still do pixel art. Like, you can do pixel art with a mouse, or at least in my case, I have a trackball, and you can still work with the dots. You can still manipulate stuff with dots, and I've heard of plenty of pixel artists who do that. In fact, I think that's what retro devs have done. They've worked off of just basic mouse dots, where they'll probably have a separate monitor with maybe like a grid and stuff like that, and they will painstakingly put down every sprite, because there's other the reason the reason they did pixel art back then is because computers weren't as good, of course. So you have a lot of different things like color limits and sprite limits, that kind of stuff. I can explain to you how Jackie's works, so I'll just do that. So Jackie's is kind of interesting because it's how you can achieve good line art. So when you're making line art and things like that, that's probably the cleanup process. You're probably going to be doing things like drawing pixels and erasing pixels. So that's usually what you'll see me doing in most streams. I'll be drawing pixels physically, and I'll be erasing pixels that don't work. And the reason I do that is when you zoom out, it'll look smoother in general. And each pixel makes a ginormous difference to how an image is perceived. So go here. You end up trying to round things out to look rounder or more cohesive with that. And the reason you do that is to make your pixel art look natural, or at least more intended like a drawing, so to speak. This actually kind of looks like Link as a beard, kind of like. And a lot of this is extra experience. Like, the more you work with pixel art, the more you kind of just have a sense of that. But also, it has a bit of a drawingness to it. So if you've drawn anything, you'll probably know that things will not tangents and stuff will be a thing. So you'll end up realizing that, oh, this drawing is either closed off or something's touching it or doesn't overlap. It's just on the default shoulder line, stuff like that. And it's sort of in the same principle when it comes to Pixar with that. In fact, I'd say it's easier to notice tangents when you're doing Pixar than drawing because, with the default pixels, it's pretty obvious what it is. Mm. Mm. They go through double check my notes here. So yes. So yes, I should probably just talk about jaggies and all that stuff. So when you're in the cleanup process of drawing your stuff, you'll no doubt encounter jaggies. So these are jaggies, rough spots of pixels where they don't look smooth, correct? And you'll probably encounter a new layer. You'll hide the layer. I should probably explain how the layer stuff works in Aseprite. So you can create new layers by either right-clicking the frame. You right-clicking the layer name, and you'll click New, and then click Layer. And it's like any other. It's like any other digital art program, except it's on the animation timeline. This area is the animation timeline, and you're going to be working off of that mostly, and that'll be how that goes. A snap did the music stop? Oh well. That's strange. Alrighty. Back to adventure with that. And that will be how that goes. And alright. Anywho. Crap, I've lost my train of thought. Get my notes again. Oops. Okay, so in terms of jaggies and stuff like that, and actually working on. Okay. So back to figuring out the layer system. So you're able to right-click the layer spot, and you're able to open up a new layer. And you can just make as many layers as you like, and you can even delete layers and open up new layers with this eyeball icon, lock layers, set the onion skin, you can set up the tighter settings with that, how long, how opaque, how you see the onion skins, the frame header, stuff like that. And you'll also see more of the onion skin. What's this? Oh yeah, the content sprites here. Be able to select whichever frames will become continuous if you select this on. But when you make a new frame, they'll make it a completely new blank frame, or they'll make it new blank frames, new empty frame. Everything doesn't get copied, and this will not make another instance of it. And I'll elaborate on this as I go through more like journal animation stuff. That's gone through. Okay. This. So you're doing whole new layers of that. We'll mess about with new layers, and I'll also create a new set of frames for the entire timeline. So if you have your timeline that's 5 frames ahead, you create a new layer that's its own 5 frames. You can select these frames. You can select the frames, move them around, move, copy, that kind of stuff. But for our intents and purposes, we're doing. And we have a whole new frame. Hide that here. Select it. So rename it. Double click on the name to rename it. Call it, a name like background. And even right click to move it. That's pretty nice with that. That's pretty good with making new layers. And then you'll be working with new lines and stuff like that. Able to draw fresh drawings with each layer and never have to worry about them crossing over. They'll just overlap. I should use overlap. You can control click to select sprites, and you can. I think this is the default Aseprite function. I could be wrong. I probably set up my shortcuts to be able to let me use the arrow tool here. But yeah, you'll use the move tool. You can just move around sprites. Ugh. Oh yeah, I should name bottom. So as you get to all your drawing and stuff like that, you'll kind of just notice that you want to readjust sprites as you go, and locked. You'll want to readjust sprites. And that's kind of just your cleanup process. I call it cleaning up, that kind of thing. And you'll be doing a whole bunch of different stuff with that. And as you dive in, you'll want to clean up your sprites so they look different, and make sure that they actually will function. Excuse me. That they actually look like their sprite size. And the more pixels you add to a line, the thicker that line will be perceived. So even 2 pixels will make a giant difference to how a color looks with that. And you can mess with it in various different ways. You'll have a nice thick to thin type of line with that. You can give it a thicker outline, mess about with that, add more lines to the corners, and they'll look like lines are much thicker than that. And a lot of this is adding double blocks where needed. Sometimes you can just do a typical thin line thing where you'll have it have a thinner line at the top, thicker lines at the bottom. And that's usually how, just typical drawing stuff goes with that. So, art principles still apply even if it's a completely different media. And you will mess about with so many different paths as you just go about learning how to do art stuff. And a lot of this, you're able to eyeball a lot of this. You'd have to, experiment. Use your select tool. You can rotate it. It'll make it look a little bit harrowing, but you clean that up, make it look clear. And I'd say a lot of pixel art cleanup is getting it to look clearer in the drawing, I'd say. Like, the more you adjust your pixels, the more you're able to decide what the drawing is supposed to be. Like, if you zoomed in so much, it just looks like a gobbledygook of pixels. And, you kind of don't even know what the heck you're looking at. But when you zoom out, bada boom, you have basically a face. And you can adjust things like give them a longer nose, give them more stubbly nose, and that kind of stuff works with that. Maybe 3 pixels will give them basic face. You probably do some stuff where you give them a bit more definition to his, get more lighting there. Still check. You can use basic lighting to make some just nice blocks of color to establish lighting. And I'd say pixel art's also perfect for learning how to work with shapes of color, I'd say. Because, at the end of the day, you're still working with big blocks. That's kind of what you'll be doing in digital painting, is you're blocking out large bouts of color. So that's kind of really nice with that. Of course, you're learning how to shade as you go. And it all kind of just looks better and better as you dive into drawing. And even with that, I changed the lighting completely. And that's a nice thing about pixel art, is you can make changes pretty quickly. And of course, you can readjust as you see fit. Probably like thin outlines. I should probably explain what you're doing with these corners. So, the thing you don't want to do with a lot of pixel art corners to achieve a thin line is you don't want to end your pixel art corners with 2 blocks together, because it'll make the line look thicker and more jagged than it should. But if you get rid of the corners, say you get rid of it here, or you get rid of it here, you'll make the line thinner as it goes. And that goes with curves. You're setting up curves, so the line looks thinner as it goes. And there's kind of a specific stair-step method where you're going down 1 pixel at a time. And when you want to start curving, you would then start at 2 pixels at a time, to then stair-step to 3 pixels at a time. So it makes it easier to stair-step to curves and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff this kind of stuff will make smoother curves and less inclined. So if you're doing 2 pixels at a time, you'll be doing a fairly flat angle. Oh. At 2 pixels at a time, you're basically having a nice flat angle. Then 3 pixels at a time, it'll look much wider. 4 pixels at a time, even higher. 5 pixels, ditto. And eventually it kind of just goes into a straight line. I'm not even counting these pixels. But eventually you'll make it so it'll just go to a straight line. And it makes it like it's going in. And of course, the opposite is true. The more you go down, the further the angle goes with that. So this stair-stepping method is the basics of getting more diagonals. And you'll be using multiple stair-stepping methods to make interesting looking curves. And as you do that, you'll go from 1 pixel stair step, then 2 pixel stair step, then 3 pixel stair step. If we go 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, then back to 1, it'll look jagged. And that might be fine for things like rocks or rough armor and stuff like that. But if you're doing something where you're going like 3 pixels, 2 pixels, that becomes a problem. Like if you do curves like this, it's definitely gonna look jagged and rougher than it should be. That you want to set up your lines so they look clean. Kinda. I mean, obviously, these are not hard and fast rules. There are pixel artists who are able to, do some fun jagged stuff and alternate patterns and stuff like that. There have been cool pixel artists who have taken advantage of implied lines to, work off of, just making implied lines and stuff like that. And that's also from drawing and stuff like that. If you have a really good eye for just art in general, you'll know what kind of rules to break. But usually the rough rule overall for someone who's never done pixel art before, and that I recommend you stick with so you don't look like you're a complete amateur, is to stick with this stair-step method. Get yourself acclimated to working off of doing these things. Hopefully I'm making sense, and if I'm completely off of my base or I'm confusing, let me know. I'm still trying to workshop this tutorial in general. But I'd say I've gone through most methods of drawing, and I could probably go through just actual proper animation stuff. So if anyone has any questions, let me know, because I'm going to move on to preparing for animation. So I'm going to take a drink real fast. Currently 8:12 p.m. So I'll probably just stream some more for maybe an hour. Go all the way to I have. But that and things should be fun. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay. So, let's get to planning for animation. So, usually in an animation, you're gonna be setting up for, a game that you make. So, how to make a platformer. Probably would make sprites in the style of Mario. Have you want to count the number of actions that you do. You have a basic walk. You're able to walk around and stuff like that, and be able to do things like jump. Walking jump, that's a Mario thing, so that's the default thing that you would platform. And probably have swimming animation, so that's action number 4. And maybe a fireball animation, action 5. And with animation planning, want to plan the number of actions you got. So if you're making a platformer, you gotta figure out, okay, what kind of things are actually doing a platform. And that comes with the game design doc. I personally believe, or at least I personally think, that most platforms will start with an idle animation, a walk animation, jumping animation. That's usually how it's platform. Crouching, that's from Mario Bros. I personally just add a crouch because, it's ease of life and it helps give you something, all the different buttons. And you're doing that so you can just plan your stuff. So, for in Aseprite, you can plan new layers where you can set up your workflow to do animation. So if you right click on a frame, you'll create a drop down menu and create new tag. And in this, you will have a tag where you can mark down the action. For this action, I'm going to mark down idle tag. And that is a character simply standing. When they're idle, they're just standing. You're not pressing any buttons. You haven't pressed the jump button. They're just standing. And next, you can create a new layer. Create a new empty layer. And then you're going to create a new tag. You're going to call this walk. And for walking, this is the character actually moving around. And you will create a new frame because their walk animation involved in walking. You're going to need multiple frames for them walking. New frame, new empty frame. You'll have a new tag, and you'll call it maybe jump. You'll have a separate animation for your jumping. You can reuse animations, but I personally would recommend actually have a jumping animation. It'll help you distinguish the actual proper actions of a video game, that stuff. So, the reason you're having tags like this is because when you're going to export it, when you're actually all done, they'll be nice and organized, export as sprites. So, for example, with Cole's sprites here, I have so many different tags right here. I have an idle tag, I have him facing front, I have him walking out, taking damage, that kind of stuff. And when you export your sprites, and you're going to be exporting your sprites as a sprite sheet, you will be able to set up your sprites so that they're separated and categorized by their tags and actions. So you can see all idle animations and idle things will be here. Then you'll have the walking, and you'll have the taking damage animation. If you have more frames, you'll do that. And you do this by clicking split tags, because if you don't do that, they'll just become a giant garbled mess of gobbledygook. Do that, and you will split tags, and it will just automatically split them like this. Of course, you will do some more fancy pants things with that. So that's what you're gonna be. That's why you're setting up your tags this way. So your future self will thank you. So now that we've kind of established a nice way to prepare yourself, let's actually get to planning and drawing our stuff. So, one, I guess, game design thing that you would probably need to decide is what size that your character is going to be. Because, what size your character is going to be is going to determine the size of your obstacles, the size of your map, that kind of stuff. So, the reason I choose 32 by 32 as a canvas size is so I can make a character that's, I believe, that's 32 by 16. That's usually what most video game sprites, like retro game sprites, are. They're usually gonna be like 16 high. I believe Mario is. I could probably click grid settings. Set this by width and height of 16, and then I could probably set up so Mario can fit in an 8 sprite here. So default Mario is roughly within a 8 sprite square. That's pretty nice for him. That a lot of other games, it will set it up so it's more in pieces of 8 instead of pieces of 16. For our purposes, Big Mario is 16 size with that. Big Mario fits on a 16 by 8 type of sprite. So that's pretty good with that. So that's basically why I usually will just have my sprites set up in increments of 8 when that is, because you'll just have the ability to crouch with it. And I realized that Mario's crouch size actually doesn't incorporate. Is this crouch actually larger than his small Mario size? That's interesting. But yeah, crouching, you'll usually be able to dodge, most stuff with that. But usually your sprite size is going to matter with the rest of your game. So decide on that ASAP. If you're doing a taller sprite, set them up to be 64 tall and stuff like that. 32 short, tall, that kind of thing. So basically, when you set up your idle, that's it's basically your character standing pose, and of course, a standing pose gives it some more personality, and that's where just general drawing will come in, where you can either do stuff like this, have a nice rough pose, you can have it as more of a karate pose. Do stuff like that. Now you are free to kind of just mess about with that. And hell, because you have 32 by 32, you can always kind of just use the entire canvas if you like. If you believe you need a character that will occupy this entire canvas space, you can do that. And that's personally what I recommend for that. You don't need to be constrained on a certain size. If you want your canvas slightly bigger, you can go back to your you can go back to your sprite size properties and sprite, click sprite size, and readjust it. Again, I recommend you do it on increments of 8 so you don't blow out your sizing and scaling. It'll make things much easier with that, and you'll be able to just make your sprite much larger. Or, what I actually recommend more, is that you change this canvas. So you change the canvas to something larger, and then you can adjust as you want, so you don't have to worry about scaling things and stuff like that. Yep. That's usually what I do in general, is I scale things out if I need to resize my sprites. And obviously how a sprite looks will depend on, it'll depend on you. This point in your sprite making is the rough point. You don't have to be any like crazy exceptional motherfucker. You can just roll. Let's see. Canvas size, probably like +8 again. +8. Mess about. And probably give it some breathing room with 16. Maybe add another size to that. And you're drawing the body to whatever suits your needs. And of course, you can always readjust with either the eraser or the lasso, and which the lasso is going to come in handy. The lasso is a lasso tool. If you've used any other program, you know what a lasso tool does. That's pretty nice with that. That works. And a nice, I guess, working method is to plan your sprite for feet being planted on the ground. So if you know that, for working with pixel stuff, I kind of set up so the feet's default bottoms are here. So right here, and I usually don't have a colored outline at the bottom when I'm outlining stuff, just because if you're having your sprite standing on top of an actual tile and stuff like that, that tile also has an outline. It would make sense if it had like 2 pixels of outlines and stuff like that. So, once you've decided on a good idle pose and stuff like that, and of course you can always refine as you go, and you can always just work off that, you'll have basically a nice way to kind of just set up your life with this. And when you turn on your onion skin, you will select this. You'll be able to create an onion skin with that. And one, I guess, issue when it comes to tags is that when you're in a tag, it actually will not select your onion skin afterward outside of a tag, which can be a pain in the butt sometimes if you don't remember to link frames. So, linking frames is also a thing that I will also show you, recommend. You try to figure out with that. So, when you control click 2 different, or shift click 2 different frames, you can then right click one of the frames and select link cells and they will be linked together. And when you make any changes to this frame, the frame will change right here. So if you do something like this, and kind of like maybe add that, it'll consider it completely different. And you can even do stuff like move the frames to other spots. And any changes you make to one frame will transfer all instances of that change to all other sprites that are all other frames that are linked. So if you select this, link cells there, you now have 3 cells that are linked. And if you draw on that, no matter which frame you go to, they'll all be linked to that. So that's a pretty good way to kind of just, 1, save on animation methods, and 2, kind of just duplicate certain frames and not have them completely adjacent to each other. So a lot of times with the platformers and walking animations, they'll usually use 1 frame of the walking animation as its like default walking tool. So it might just do a frame like this where it uses the same body, but it only changes the legs. That's usually just how that goes. So get rid of that. And this is an okay thing. Castlevania does frames like that, and you can set up the frame so it's a little slower with that, and it's just still the same drawing. I personally just have it set up so it's the same drawing, so it's an easier animation for me to see. And usually it's pretty nice for saving time and energy working on platform. Making a basic platformer. If you're making a basic platformer and you're just going off of these drawings, you technically have 2 drawings right now. That's all you've got. And you could do things like reuse a jump animation to be your jump animation. It's got to look stiff as hell, but it's you can't do that. There's a lot of games that do reuse frames for certain stuff with that. So we'll probably have a frame like this to rework jumping animations. But honestly, usually I will probably just redraw it like this. Just what do you a lot of like animation and art decisions are, what do you believe a jump should look like? That's an artistic decision as opposed to a game design decision. So that's kind of just how that goes. But yeah, basically, whenever you just get started with just basic art stuff, you will have general drawing. You'll have a general set of actions. So you have a basic idle, you have a basic walk, and you have a basic jump. And of course, you can always kind of like do some fancy pants things, like make a new empty frame and have some little transition frames here where you have it so you're able to have their legs move some more. give another frame of stuff. Have a little in between stuff with that. Frame. Frame. And you could even duplicate frames so that you have a nice smooth loop here. That's what I usually recommend with making animation loops is you try to duplicate the first frame of the loop so that you have a way to approximate where you can take your last frame so you know where the loop is supposed to go, where your movement's supposed to be at. Doing stuff like that. Let's see, this is us. And then you can just delete the last frame, make you two. So far, the feet are looking much smoother. That's pretty nice with that. Gale, how's it going? See you. I am nearly about to wrap up this rough animation stream with just going through the basics of making a walk cycle. And you can expand on this with, figuring out how the arms are going to work. And because you have the onion skin, you'll know that the arms will swing down. And they will usually swing in arcs. So imagine a big arc like this. And maybe I'll put in yellow so everyone can see. See a big arc like this. And you want to keep your hands in this rough arc spot so you know where the hands are actually supposed to go. And because humans are round and organic, most human parts are going to be, they rotate, they spin, they make different that. So you're seeing it rotate and rolls up. Rolls up. Probably duplicate this yellow right here. Copy. And paste it in here. And the arcs will still stay the same like this. And of course, if you get rid of the onion skin, the arms will look correct because they're connected to the shoulder. And this is where your shoulders will go. So when you play it, you're able to just work off of that. Of course, this ain't need to rock some more frames like this because I'm animation trained to have 8 frame block cycles. I believe Mega Man can do a 4 frame block cycle. Let's see. Mario can do 4 frame. 1, 2, 4. Okay. Mario can just do a 3 frame block. It's basically a cross in between walk, then cross. Okay. I should look up like Mario's actual like movie, but Sonic's a little bit more clear. But it's also a 16-bit character, so that kind of stuff can. And he's able to start animation. You have his crossover, then his step, crossing step, step up, the next step, and that's his right leg move. And that's 6 frames with that. Then you're doing another 6 frames where he's stepping 1, 2, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That frame will loop back to frame 1, which is the next 4 frames. So these two frames are arguably similar because they're both the crossover striding. Your legs are open when you're running. Your legs are just all the way out. It's making a step. Like these frames are your core key frames, because these are the frames that actually have your character move. So I'm gonna set this up so I have copy. And these are very similar frames. So far, how'd the big bear go? Yeah, the big bear went fine. I got it done. So, that's kind of how that goes. So you have a nice, straightforward, rough animation like this. And of course, you can do some quality of life things like set it up so you can decide which frames the back leg and which frames the back arm and stuff like that. I just erase you. Stuff like that. Unlink. You may decide which one's going to be the back arm. Back leg. Boom. Work on that arm. Yeah. Work out. Oops. So far, so good with this. And it's making progress. I could erase the head here. And it'll look better. And again, every adjustment you make on a linked pixel goes all the way back to idle. It's real convenient. So you have a nice, super basic animation to start out with. And if you were making a platformer, it would work with just these frames. So yeah, hopefully this animation tutorial at least will take you through just the general basics, I'd say. And as you work with this, you will be polishing your frames. So you will color in your sprite. You will mark down where their legs are. And the rest of this is pixel pushing. Reworking your lines so they're cleaner. Once again, the more you work on that, other frames will get worked on. So that's going to be right there. So, boom, boom. Clean. Shit. Yeah. And clean up your frames right here. And technically, I could probably put the shoulders here. Make the back leg like this. Put it in the shadow. That's a nice way to indicate his legs behind everything. then you'll rework another. Yeah, it's a lot of just polishing stuff is mostly about clarity and things like that. You want to make sure that your sprites are clear, so you know which side sprite is on, which side the face is, and you'll work with whole different things. Add some eyes, make sure you know how the eyes are gonna look, stuff like that, and may add some little marks where everybody knows where the feet are gonna be, like little landmark spots, kind of just indicate, okay, this is little spots of where you can see where the character is moving. That's pretty nice with that. So far, so good. Maybe like reworks with that. Add some lines to overlap. So far, we have a nice, solid idle animation. We probably add a little bit more shadow, kind of just push this out. And you know what? Fuck it. Smile Man is here. He is called Mr. Smile, and he's a happy lad in a jumpsuit. He's a freaking prisoner. He's a smiling prisoner. He's happy to be in jail. He probably killed a guy, because only a person who killed the guy would be that happy to be in. I don't know. But yeah, you're polishing pixels and trying to get it to a point where you can, it's presentable enough. Of course, a lot of this is your own artistic eye, and a lot of that is you kind of just figuring out what will work for the medium that you're, the game engine that you're doing the video game stuff, and you're like push you back. That'll work. So far, so good. And of course, you can spend hours and hours in polish mode. For now, this is the idle animation. He's able to stand, and now he's able to walk. Of course, you can do things like you can duplicate body frames, copy, and then paste, bada boom. That's how you save animation, is you end up like copying drawings that you already drew. You will nudge him down, because when you're making a step, he's going up. So when he's making a step, his leg is kind of standing and holding up his weight. So you're doing that while he's able to stand like this. So this like bit of polishing, do stuff like that. And you'll probably like establish that his leg is behind him. And you will tackle things like deciding where his hands are crossing over, because it looks like he has an erection right now. And if you want, it depends on whether or not you want to make a M-rated game. Like Steam's pretty lax on that. So I mean, it's not like it's banned. So if you want to make a dude with an erection, there can do it, and Steam will allow it. Hell, Itch will allow it. So I mean, that's pretty great. And yeah, boom. So yeah, probably like make one crossover line right here to kind of just indicate that his hand is passing over. Going like that. And of course, you could duplicate it. Anything you duplicate be like that. So, this can actually work for a nice default walk-in if you're a programmer and just want to make a programmer. This is a nice like 4-frame 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice 4-frame animation. And if you want to be like a full-out polishing G, you will actually draw in the crossover frame here. So you'll probably like indicate that there's a difference in probably indicate that there's a difference in where the legs are compared to where your arms. You probably do like a slight adjustment to kind of just indicate things are moving. Probably like indicate the arms working like that. And it kind of works. So, would you look at that? Looks like he's walking. That's pretty convenient, huh? And of course, you can copy and paste other elements at work. Again, any change you make on that, on this too. That's convenient. Now you have a basic idle like this, and you have a walk like. So far, I mean, it's a nice basic walk cycle for you to get started. And I suppose I should also indicate, something you can jump. I could probably copy Mr. Smile, copy that drawing, put it here, and then we'll draw and refine his body like this. He is super smiley-o, the smiliest smiler to ever smile. The happy little lad. He's able to just make large jumps in a single bound. That's just a nice way to kind of just make the jump with that. And if I want to be animation Andy, I probably would adjust the frame size so that he has a more vertical height with that. Like, I probably would add probably plus 16. Oh no. Like plus 32 on each side, so he has more jumping room. So, I mean, by default, you're making a huge sprite, but a lot of that stuff will indicate that he is a larger character in general. Then you can add some more personality to kind of indicate. Because I believe this is a Mega Man X sprite size. And I usually will put an outline at the bottom as indicate, okay, he is off the air. Then you will program the, you'll program the actual proper jump height. And I'd say next stream I'll go over how you would import sprites into Unity. That's kind of just how you would just do that, both to teach myself how to polish stuff and to kind of just get me into, and to kind of just get you through that of getting that going. nice longer arm. Get working. Probably should just put it back. There we are. Nice jump animation, and if you really want to be fancy, you can make a landing animation. So duplicate you, unlink. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that my fucking eraser tool. It's trash. Work that. They probably have a little key setup where he's looking down. And he's landed. And of course, if you have the onion skin rolling, kind of just have it so he's falling. Like a cool fall animation. Doesn't need to be crazy elaborate, just something that indicates that he's going down now. And that's roughly my method on planning sprites. I will sometimes work with drawings. Like if I'm out and about, we'll make pre-made drawings and just do some visualizations and stuff like that. Stuff like that. Something to kind of just indicate, okay, this guy is falling. Made his step here. This. So yeah, here's a nice like he's going up animation and he's going down. That's a nice way to kind of just indicate that he's jump forward. Making the jump. You have him standing like this. You have a basic walk. Nice basic bitch boy walk. And of course you can like you'll do some basic animation. Add another frame. And a lot of this is just technical. You just do it sort of things. It's difficult to really kind of just talk about animation after this point because now it's just pure doing the damn thing as opposed to actual technical techniques. So you will look up references for walking. You know, you go on YouTube, look up walking video reference, and you'll get a guy walking. And you would copy that. You can look at your favorite sprites, see how they did their walking animations, see how they did their movement animations. Like, I've been experimenting with sprites that I've got here where I will just mess about with how their animations with that. This is like a 4-frame animation thing, but still just looks fucking smooth because it's got really good with that. That's pretty good with that. You can work off of the basic, the super pile driver. But yeah, look at other sprites to, see what's good here. And or just walk around and just mess about with how you make your own sprites and eventually at least make things that are serviceable for your game. And we'll have most platforms will just show you basic most most platforms are you're almost always going to have a left to right walk animation. So mastering a walk animation is still a solid thing to do. Got a 3-frame animation for this. I believe this one you have a 4-frame animation for Weasel. This one is also 4 frames. They're both 4 frames. So I think yeah, it has the same same crossover animation. So it mostly depends on the type of character. If you have a character that you know that you can get away with that, you know, by all means, just mess about. Have a bunch of characters who are just able to work off of this. I believe this one has a similar crossover. Yeah, this one similar to this one. So yeah, technically this is 3 drops. So messing around with that. Of course, you've got larger characters who will have, like, I believe 8 walks. And it mostly just depends on what you need stuff is. Mostly just depends on the character and how important they are to, you know, the visual stuff like that. So, you know, when you're animating, you basically need to make that decision for yourself when you're drawing characters and things like that. Let's see. Sometimes you will kind of just have nothing else to do and kind of just rock with that. So I think so far so good. This is a nice wrap up to animation tutorial. I think next week I'll go through things like setting up your head, so setting up your layers so you can do much less work when it comes to planning your stuff. Like you can separate your head pieces, your arms, so you don't even need to copy and duplicate your stuff. You can just make a separate head piece, and put it on a new. So that kind of stuff is there, plus things like clothing, more elaborate coloring stuff, and you know, things like attack animations, that kind of stuff. And you know, it mostly just depends on, you know, whether I need to get to work on certain Black Mass stuff. I'm still in the process of writing Black Mass things. Like I don't really need to add more art stuff. So next stream is still gonna be tutorial time. And I think I'll do some adjustments in between stream to kind of just make things a little bit more pretty. So it's 9 p.m. right now, and I'm feeling hella tired. So I'd say, you know, this has been a decent run of, you know, going through the tutorial and kind of just chatting about working on pixel animation. Hopefully, this is a good tutorial for everyone, and if not, I mean, you know, there's thousands of others that I'd recommend. If you want to go over anything, you can drop me a D on social media. You can, you know, make some suggestions. I'll be uploading on YouTube. So that's kind of just how that goes. Stop on my YouTube archives. And yeah, I will check you all next time. Have a good night.